So today we're going to go over how to make the nameplate for the mini mill. So first thing you want to do is open up your Fusion 360. It should be right here on the desktop. Double click on it. And when you open this up, it's going to force you, I believe, to make an Autodesk account. So go through the whole process, make the account. Once you get that done, come talk to me. I have to do something on my end to give you a license. And at the top here, it'll change this from a 30-day trial on yours to an educational license like what I have here. But if you don't do that, your subscription will expire, and then it's a little bit harder process to fix that. So make sure you get that fixed. Once you get here, first thing we're going to do is click on Create Sketch. And it's really important, you're not going to click on this plane or that plane. You want to click on this green, red plane right here. So this plane right here. That's the XY plane. I'm going to click on a 2-point rectangle because we're going to draw a rectangle first. And I'm just going to start by dragging my mouse over the origin. And you see how I get that kind of blue box around the origin right here? That tells you that it's snapping to the origin. I'm just going to click on that once, drag my mouse down, and I'm going to type in 4.25, and then I'm going to push tab. Tab will switch you between your dimensions here by 1.96. Enter. And that's the whole sketch that we're going to create. So I'm going to finish the sketch right here. And then I'm going to click on this extrude button so we can add some thickness to it. And you can either click and drag this up, or you can type in a distance right here. And we're going to type in 0.39. Enter. And what you'll notice as you're going along, your history of what you've created is down at the bottom here. And if you wanted to change the size of something, so say we wanted to change the size of our sketch, if you click on it, then right click, you can edit the sketch, and we could change these sizes, and it would change this shape, the size of the shape. Or I can come into my feature here and I can right click and edit that extrusion and change my distance or whatever I want to change. So as I add more in, I'll get more and more stuff down here. Next thing we're going to do is I want to click on this face, and I want to do a sketch on that face. And I can either click on it and right click and go to Create Sketch, or I can just simply click on it, get it highlighted, and then come up here to Create Sketch. They both do the same thing, whichever one's easier for you is kind of what I go with. I'll go click Create. We're going to create some text. Just do a text box. We're just going to take our initials in here. Then I want to adjust the size of that. Let's say an inch, maybe. 1.25. 1.5. Yeah, 1.5 looks pretty good. And you can flip it and align it and stuff. I'm not too worried about it with this, because what we're going to do is we're just going to take it, click on it, and drag it to where you want. Roughly centered. And then I want to take this text, because if we were to take this out of the machine right now, it's not going to recognize these letters. It's only going to recognize lines or vectors. So I'm going to right click on that, and I'm going to explode the text. That'll change all the lines. And just like that, we're done. And you'll see I have one sketch, one extrusion, and then another sketch, which is my text on the top here. So this sketch is done, or design is done. We're going to switch over to manufacture. First thing we want to do here is create a setup. So right at the top here, I'm going to click setup. And on these pop-up windows, typically you're going to move, like start with the left folder, work your way top down, and then go to the next one, top down, next one top down. But on the setup folder, I always start with the stock. And typically on here, the two that I use are the fixed size box, where I can just like measure my material and enter in that the X is 6 inches, the Y is whatever, 3 inches. So I either use the fixed size box, or like today, what we're going to use is we're going to use from solid. So all that I have to do is click on my solid here, because this is the exact size of the piece of metal we're using. And you can verify that by seeing the numbers here. That's the same size that we drew. We're going to go back to setup. And what I want to do is I want to click on the origin dot right here. And I want to move that up to the corner here. And that's why it was so important when we started this sketch that we used the XY plane. Because if you didn't do that, you have to flip this origin around, and that's kind of a pain. So that saves you a little bit of that hassle. So we'll go ahead and say OK to that. Then the first toolpath, we're going to be using all these 2D toolpaths right here. The first toolpath we're going to use is face. Like I said, I'm going to work top down, left to right. I'm going to go select tool. And if you don't have the mill tools loaded, you need to go back and watch the video on Google Classroom on how to load the tools is what I think you called it. Yeah, how to load tools in Fusion 360. And once you get that loaded, you'll have this mill tools loaded in here. So I'm going to go to that. We're going to go to the 1.5" face mill. Click select. As far as spindle speed, we'll put this at 4,000. I'm just pushing tab to work my way down through this. Cutting feed rate, we'll leave that at 30, lead in 30, lead out 30, transition 30, ramp 15, plunge 15. Those all look good to me. So make sure these numbers are all the same on yours. Geometry, it's going to just select everything. So it's going to try and face everything it can off of this, which is what we want. Heights, we want to, we'll start from the stock top. Stock top. Stock top. We'll leave the numbers all the same on this. We'll go down to the top of the stock. And then for the offset, we'll go negative 0.01. 0.010, 10 thousandths. If you flip this over to the front view, you can like zoom in and verify that that's your bottom height is lower than the stock top right here. Passes. We'll go ahead and increase this pass extension just a little bit, just so it faces all the way off. And then the other one to keep an eye out for is the multiple depths. We aren't going to use it on this one. But if you're facing off like more than probably 30 thousandths, use the multiple depths. And that's just going to default to giving you multiple depths of cuts, and you can adjust how deep it goes each step down. I usually set that to about 40 thousandths. But for this, we aren't going to use that, so turn that back off. Linking, all those look good. And then we can right-click on here. We can simulate it. And it's just going to come down and cut across. Just like that. That all looks good. And if you want to orbit like kind of what I'm doing, If you click on the scroll wheel on your mouse and then push and hold shift, that'll let you orbit. If you roll the scroll wheel in and out, that lets you zoom. If you click the scroll wheel, it lets you pan. So that's my facing toolpath. Now we need to go through and we need to follow these contours. So to do that, I'm going to do a 2D contour. For the tool, we will select a 1/4 inch 90-degree spot drill. For our defaults, we'll put them all the same as what we had before. Cutting feed rate will be 30, 30, 30, 30, ramp 15, plunge 15, retract 15. Geometry, we're going to go ahead and click on our text here. Heights, stock top, stock top, stock top, stock top, stock top. And we've already faced off 10 thousandths, and I want my text to be 2 thousandths deep. So I'll set the bottom height to negative 0.012 12 thousandths. And we'll leave all that the same, the passes and the linking right now. So it's kind of hard to see what it's going to do because I still have my model on. So I'm just going to click the eyeball next to the model, which it's going to look like it turns everything off. I'm going to right click on setup one. We'll simulate it. And then we can see kind of what it's actually doing here. So faces, comes through and engraves. And that all looks good, except for these right here. That looks kind of silly. So let's take that off of there. So we're going to right click on the 2D contour, edit that. And under the passes, linking, there is a lead in. We're going to uncheck that, and we're going to uncheck lead out. So lead in and lead out. Uncheck those. Say OK. Let's right click on that. Simulate it again just to make sure. It's going to come through. It's going to face. It's going to cut the text. And that all looks good. Exit the simulation. Turn my model back on. Now, one last thing before we post this out. We need to go into our tool library here. Under setup one, I'm going to click that, shift click this. I'm going to click renumber right here and renumber those. For this, it didn't matter because my face mill was already tool 1 and my spot drill was already tool 2. But like if this was tool 10 and that was tool 7, that would make this tool 1 and tool 2. Really important when we go to put that in the machine so we know like what spot to put it in. It makes it a lot easier. So I'm going to go ahead and close out of here. Make sure that that's tool 1, that's tool 2. Right click on my setup one right here. I'm going to come down to post process. And the first time you guys go to post, what you'll need to do, you won't have this Haas pre-next gen control loaded in here. You'll have to come to this folder right here. Go to Fusion Libraries. Click on Milling, Vendor, Haas Automation. And it should be all the way at the bottom. You're looking for the Haas pre-NGC. That stands for Next Gen Control. We're going to click on that. Select it. Click the 3 little dots right there. Go to Local. Select that folder. Copy to my post. I'm not going to copy because I've already got it in there and I don't want 2 of them. Cancel out of there. And then that will bring that in here. So we're just going to highlight that one. For file name, we're going to call this your last name. and then nameplate. Sorry about that. Last name and then nameplate. The output folder, you're going to click on this little folder right here. We want it to go to the thumb drive. I'll select that folder. And then one last thing before we post this, you have to make sure that use G0 is checked. This code will not work on the machine unless you check that. And just click post. I'm not going to post mine, but you'll click post. It'll save it to the thumb drive. You can unplug the thumb drive, take it out to the mini mill, and then I will help you get that all set up and ready to run.